Salvē, amiche, and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at John chapter 4, verses 35 and 36. I should note that rather than going back to our previous stop in the chapter, since this part of the story is getting so long, I decided that we're going to start breaking in at 31 as we're doing also in the Greek. Well, last time in John chapter 4. Should probably be enough time for you. Here is our rubric, everything that we look for as we go through the text. Let's get started. Nonne vos dicetis, quod ad hoc quator menses sunt et messis venit, ecce dico vobis levate oculos vestros et vedete regiones quia albae sunt iam ad mensa, et qui metit mercedem accipit et congregat fructum in vitam aeternam ut et qui seminat simul gaudeat et qui metit. And that's as far as we're going to go. Nonne introduces our question. Our question. We don't know the question. It introduces questions as we've seen before. This one expects. I'm remembering my own Latin knowledge here. It's been a long time since I've recorded. Life has been busy. This one. Yes, this one expects a positive answer. How could I forget that? Vos is, of course, our pronoun, and it is redundant since we have indicatus right here, I-T-I-S, a second person plural. So then this makes it the phrase emphatic for the addressees. This is a present tense from dico dicere, and it is active and indicative. And then we have quod introducing what is said, so we can go ahead and try to translate this. As you recall, I'm terrible at writing questions. Don't you say? Well, of course you do. Don't you all yourselves say? And then with quod, normally we would expect this to be either. I was really hoping the fridge would stay away for a while, but oh well, just have to speak louder. Normally we'd expect quod to be either a form of qui as the relative pronoun, or a variant for quia, meaning because. This, however, is a very unusual, at least in my experience, an unusual use of quod, because it is functioning like quia, but quia that is introducing not a cause behind something, but instead it is introducing a new type of phrase, a statement. So rather than saying because or what, this is that. Ad hoc quotor menses sunt, there is our verb. No need to parse it, it's pretty common. So what is our subject? Well, menses with the es right there. This comes from mensis, and it is a masculine. So es could be nominative or accusative plural. Sunt doesn't take an accusative. So nominative plural masculine with sunt as the subject. Ad hoc just means still. And then quator is an indeclinable number, 4, and it's going to be modifying mensos. So that still sunt are 4 months. Probably put the verb in there. Et and messis, and this one is messis, it's a feminine, so we have is right there, so it could either be the genitive singular or the nominative singular. With venit, it right there, we want a singular subject, and messis fits with that perfectly. We don't need a genitive. There's nothing around it for it to own. So nominative singular feminine makes the most sense. And this word means harvest. Interesting. For me. I find it interesting, I should say. Scatterbrained. Typical. Yeah. And so when it, of course, this can either be the present or the perfect tense. If we were to pull our Greek, which I do not have on hand this time, we would see that it's actually erkomai, or not, it'd be erkatai in the Greek, so the present tense. And so I'm going to assume that when it is the same in Latin, though I'll note down both parsings. So that's third, singular, present, or perfect, active, and indicative. Ecce. Comma right there. Dico, of course, the same verb right there. Don't need to parse it because the O. I say Vobis IS right there. This could either be the dative or the ablative. Deco expects a dative, so that's most likely what this is. And we don't really have a need for an ablative in this case. No prepositions around there. Levate, we've got our TE ending. This is levo, levare, so it's a first conjugation. When you add the TE on, that makes it, of course, a plural imperative off of the present stem, leva. So second plural present tense, active imperative. And then this needs an object, which has an oculos, OS right there, and westros modifying oculos, also with OS. Et with vidite, that's the wrong type of word for this to be another object of levate. So direct object ends there. Accusative, plural, masculine. Et, and vidite, we've got another E right, well, another TE right there, off of course, the second conjugation stem. Same parsing, so I'm just going to draw that over. Regiones, ES right there, could be a nominative or accusative plural, and this comes from regio, regiones, and it is a feminine. Vidite also wants a direct object, so accusative makes the most sense right there. See, and of course, it means what it looks like. So I'm just going to write the regions, or we could say fields, since we know that Jesus is talking about harvest here. Regions. This is the horrible thing when you prepare something and then months pass and you're not able to go back to it. Just like the Virgil videos. I have no idea what's going on as I'm editing them because it's been so long since I recorded them. Well, anyway, regions has something to do with like the countryside and fields. If you look up the entry, you'll know what I'm not remembering clearly right now. But anyway, quia is going to be functioning the same way as quod earlier. So that albi ae sunt, no need to parse. Ae could be, of course, genitive or dative singular, but nominative plural with a sunt is what we actually have. And it is feminine because it's modifying regiones, which is itself feminine. While this was accusative, albi has become nominative because it's in a different type of clause. This is the direct object, and this is in a subordinate clause where the object of the main clause is now being addressed as a subject. They are white. Yam is going to be part of this one. Of course, yam can mean now, already, at this time. You would need to determine which of those according to the context. Since we have nunc, and nunc also means now, yam, I think in the Bible is most often, this is a guess, most often going to mean already, something that has already occurred, whereas now would be speaking at the present moment. So yam, something previous, already happened, nunc, happening right now, I think. Ad mensam, prepositional phrase right there, new verse, conjunction, not indirect, relative pronouns, so prepositional phrase has to end here. Ad takes the accusative, which we find in the em, and this is singular, and as we've already seen from mesis right there, it is feminine, and this is, of course, harvest. Now, ad is going to be showing purpose, or it sometimes does, because the correspondent in the Greek, I think, is ace, and ace often shows purpose. So is white already for the purpose of harvest. Maybe I'm misreading that, but there's one option. Or it's white already toward harvest. Yeah, I'm not sure how you would explain it other than maybe purpose is location is that doesn't quite fit. But anyway, for is how we would translate odd in this case. R's and V's look the same. There we go. Et and qui, quae, quod, of course, nominative singular plural with metit right there. We know that it's going to be nominative singular. As I said, from qui, quae, quod, our relative pronoun. And then this is not to fear. Instead, this verb means to reap or to mow the lawn, if you will, to harvest. You can see the relationship between that. Mess and met, S and T are linguistically very similar in the Mediterranean languages of Greek and Latin. If you go between Koine and Attic Greek, sigmas and taus swap out between them. So you've got in Koine thalassa, or is it thalasse? I think it's thalassa, which is C, and then its older form in Attic is thalata. And there are a couple others, but that's the one that I always remember. So related here because the S and the T are almost interchangeable. The way that the language works, the way that it is spoken, the T's soften into S's, and vice versa, and the different forms and the different functionaries, if you will, of a concept. So the noun is with S, the action is with T, and who, and this is, of course, third singular, meto, metere, meti, I don't know that. I will have to put in a note for what the perfect form of this is, because I just assume that this is present, and since I don't have the Greek, I can't see what the Greek put down. But, and who harvests, probably present, active, and indicative. Merkedem, as in Mercedes. This one is, this word means higher wages, fee. It's the salary for the work that you do. And it's not Mercedes. It's Mercase, Mercedis. There we go. And it is feminine, so accusative, singular, feminine. And who harvests? It's not who harvests the wages, but rather a kipit with it right there. And since we have the I rather than a ke with an E, we know that this is going to be present. And the third singular, active, and indicative. And who harvests? And of course, technically we should say wage, because mercadem is singular. But I think the way that English talks about it is you can use the plural form. I don't know. English is kind of weird. I was thinking the other night about verbs and the use with English collectives. So we've got the people of a country. We wouldn't say the people was unhappy. We would say the people were unhappy, even though the word people is singular. And there was another. Well, I can't remember the other word, but there was another collective that works the same way, or at least according to the rule of ear. But then we've got the country. When the word country's functioning as a collective for the people, the country was sad. We do use a singular verb for that. English is weird. But anyway, I think either wage or wages would be legal in this case. But anyway, I'll leave it as singular. And congregat for congregation, at right there, third singular, present tense, congrego, congregare, active and indicative. And of course means gather together. And the fructum, right there for our accusative, singular and masculine. Fructus, fructus, it's a fourth declension. Another one of those words that means what it looks like and sounds like. In with vitam, prepositional phrase right there. Aeternum, ut, in's our prepositional phrase right there. Am, these together. Plus accusative, so showing motion toward. Or again, purpose or result. Ut, so that, or as, depending on whether we've got a indicative or a subjunctive verb in this clause. Et qui, already had that right there, don't need to parse it. Seminat, at right there, so this is semino, seminere, I think. No, I don't think so. Because we've got gaudeat right there. And that one is definitely going to be a subjunctive. So I think instead that this is semino seminare, a first conjugation. And if I'm wrong, there will be a note correcting me. Which would then mean that this is indicative. And it's supposed to be contrasted by ut with congregat and metit right there. Or metit right there, as we'll see. So then instead of so that, I think it's just as, et also, who, third singular, present, active, indicative. This would be so's, simul. Still pondering about this. We'll see where it goes. Just as at the same time, gaudeat, third singular, present stem, it is also active, but this one is most certainly subjunctive. Et qui metit, don't need to parse, this is indicative. So we've got on our either gathers fruit into eternal life, just as also he who sows at the same time rejoices, and who reaps or harvests. Or we have gathers fruit into eternal life in order that also he who sows may at the same time rejoice. No, I think I'm right. I think this is indicative. As we only really need the subjunctive in here to get the idea across. What it's saying is that the person that's sowing is going to be rejoicing at the same time as him who reaps, as a result of the gathering of the fruit by the reaper. If that made any sense to you at all. Sorry, scattered brain. It has been a long... This is a new month. It has been a long month and the beginning of this month. My brain is not working very well. Very sorry. But anyway, I should write this down. At the same time... Well, there we have it. Let's take a look at it from the beginning. Don't you yourselves say that still are 4 months and harvest comes? Behold, I say to you, raise your eyes and see the regions, that they are white already for harvest. And who harvests receives reward, and who gathers fruit into eternal life, just as also who sows at the same time he may rejoice, and who harvests. Now I think ut has to go with gaudeat. So bringing back the so that. All right, now from the beginning of our section. We're not doing that anymore, are we? My brain is a complete mess. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that, in spite of everything, this has been helpful for you, and I hope that you have a very good day. Wale.